Hello, welcome to the Wildline Podcast. I'm your host, Dan. I have Chris with me this week, guest host. Say hello.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me again, Dan. We're just mixing it up. I subbed for you last week, and now we're going to do this thing together on this special Oscars Sunday.
I love it because we used to do a podcast together. Hot Song Podcast, that was called?
Yeah, the Hot Song Podcast, yeah.
Classic. We did that for a couple of years. You know what's funny about that is people that I didn't know who was listening to that podcast. But like I was down in North Carolina once and this random person who was like kind of a friend of a friend was like, "Oh dude, you do this podcast. It's amazing." I was like,
no way.
What?
You never told me this.
Yeah, I was like, who's listening to this? Like, that was back in like 2016.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we're bringing back the magic. So we're going to do kind of a little bit of a different show today. We're going to do the top 10 per normal, but then we're going to sort of also talk about the Oscars, throw some box office stuff in there as well to keep it relevant. But let's do this. Let's dive into the top 10. So this weekend, obviously, number one, Birds of Prey. What's the full title in this movie? I had it in my notes and I lost it.
Oh yeah, the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Yes, that is correct. So
nice.
Here's
100%.
So here's the story in this. Going into the weekend, we were looking at Warner Brothers was saying $45 million, which again, studios always lowball, right? They want that Monday headline saying, "Oh, it made 55." Rival studios were saying 50 to 55. This thing has crashed and burned at right now $33.2 million opening weekends. What happened here, Chris? What do you think? Why? I mean, let's start with why. We'll dive into some more numbers stuff, but I want to dive right into the post-mortem. What is happening here with this? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because like I thought that DCEU was on the right track. I thought that, we had Joker made $1 billion worldwide. What sort of jumps to your mind as this thing sort of crashing and burning?
The only thing that I can think of is just like we weren't ready for another push at the superhero comic book movie yet. I think you've talked about this on the cast, right? It's like they keep pushing it up. Captain Marvel was March last year, right?
Yeah, March. Yeah.
Maybe February is just a few weeks too early. I don't know.
Yeah, the time is very strange too because we're also right before the Valentine's holiday, which is now a huge box office thing. It wasn't like 5-6 years ago, but now it's like a place to launch a blockbuster. It definitely seems pretty early. In terms of like, what's weird about this one is that when you look at the numbers, like the Rotten Tomatoes stuff, 81% from critics, they liked it, 67 actual score. Top critics was lower, 68% fresh, 64 actual score. But the verified audience score is at an 83%. The cinema score is a B+. The post-track score is an 80%. 61% definite recommend. So critics didn't hate it and audiences actually seemed to like it. So I'm wondering if was it like a marketing thing? Was it the big thing that keeps coming up in sort of the articles that I'm reading is this character big enough for her own movie? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there is, if it was released 2 weeks later, are we going to see something different? Or was this character ever really going to be big enough to launch its own film?
See, I don't buy the character argument anymore. I think Captain Marvel's proof of that. I mean, this was a character that only the hardcore Marvel people really knew, and they blew it out of the water with it. And I think, if anything, like DCEU made a smart move by like putting Margot Robbie in the role for Suicide Squad, and then being that as the teaser to giving her own platform. I mean, I think she's huge enough of a star, and I think the character, going back to like the animated series of Batman, which I grew up with in the 90s, like Harley Quinn was like this like a second tier villain. So I don't buy that.
Yeah, the Captain Marvel argument is like perfect as a counter argument because like Marvel can launch any property and open it to $100 million easy. And here, like just relating it back to Suicide Squad, she was the standout of that movie. Right. And that opened to 133 in August. And this is like, what, 76% off of that opening. So there's just like there's a disconnect there between her character and the rest of that ensemble. I don't know. I feel like the character argument has some weight to it. I also thought that the marketing here and the trailers were terrible. Did you see the trailers?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely awful.
Why were they awful? I couldn't put my finger on why they were so bad.
Well, I don't think the DCEU has done trailers as good as Marvel just as much as they haven't done box office as good as Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't think they really know what they're going for. They're kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall. I think it was a smart move to do Suicide Squad before Birds of Prey and before Joker, even though those movies aren't related at all.
Yeah,
but I think their smart choices are pretty happenstance, pretty haphazard.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting here too, another argument is that this thing was rated R, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's an argument that sort of the fan base for Harley Quinn is more like teenage girls, 13, 17, 18 years old, having a kind of an R, mostly based on language from what I hear, kind of took out a lot of that audience, was a big thing. The biggest quadrant here was men over 25 showing up to this, which kind of makes sense. It's a comic book movie. Do you think there is a way to make this successful? Do you think just moving the release date, or?
Yeah, I mean, I also think that some people are thinking it might have some legs, especially if it's getting good audience response. And I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, I mean, just looking at it without all the context, like 33 for a February release for an R-rated movie is not bad at all, right?
No, it's not bad. No, it's pretty good. I think the hard thing here is the expectation game. And
exactly.
like you have, and it's doubly hard for DCEU because they're always seen in the shadow of Marvel. And Marvel is just tier A, and they're always going to be tier B, at least for the next 5-6 years. Unless stuff like Joker, and they go like sort of, maybe Todd Phillips is going to build his own hard R quadrants of the DCEU. We've both seen Joker, haven't we? Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
And we both have strong opinions on it.
I know. I have bile rising in my throat.
Let's hold the bile until we get to the Oscars conversation, because I think that'll be
please, let's do that.
Okay, right. It's so funny. Okay, let's keep this train rolling. Anything else on Birds of Prey you want to talk about?
No, I think the other thing to think about perhaps with Birds of Prey is that it didn't, like you said, the trailer and the marketing did not really have much of what I'm hearing the movie actually has. I think the movie actually has like a strong performance from Ewan McGregor also. And they didn't really tap into that with the trailer or the marketing.
He's hardly in it. He's only in the trailer at all. Yeah.
So if they could have, made that pop, if they could have made some of the jokes pop, I mean, why wasn't there like a hugely viral Red Band trailer for this movie? It seems like that'd be perfect.
One of the things that came up related to that is Deadline has a whole sort of write-up about this. But one thing they point out is that it had to go through a lot of reshoots, which is fairly normal for a movie of this size. So that wasn't the issue. But apparently it pushed back a lot of the marketing campaign so that the marketing campaign was compressed to say like 3 months as opposed to 6 months. So maybe that had a part to play, but I do think when I saw the trailer, the first trailer, I was like, that's terrible. Like, and I'm just looking at it from a business perspective. It's just like, that doesn't look fun or good. Where's the hook? But we'll see how it does. I'm guessing a low drop. Although it's got 1,000 movies coming out next weekend. I mean, there's like 5 wide releases for Valentine's Day. It's like the new 4th of July. But I think it's going to have a lower drop. I expect a drop not above 50%. I hope that it's below 40% for the financial part of this. It's not going to make money. Break even on this is probably, some have said 220 worldwide, 250 worldwide. I'd say it's probably more like 300 worldwide. Not going to happen. Even if it has good legs. No. I don't think so.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
I mean, it maybe it's just not there. I just don't think it's there. So too bad for Birds of Prey.
Swing and a miss, Warner Brothers.
Swing and a miss. Not their first or last. Okay, so let's plow through this top 10. Number 2, Bad Boys for Life, $12 million, 32% drop, which is great. Sits at 166 domestically now. Did you see this one coming? Because I sort of, at first I was like, why? Then like 2 weeks out, I was like, oh, I get it now.
See, I still don't get it, and I've been listening to your takes on it, and
they've not helped you at all.
It makes logical sense in hindsight, but like I also just like totally shrugged it off. Like this is like a last gasp of air for Martin Lawrence, definitely, and also kind of for Will Smith. But maybe this is like a renaissance for Will Smith that we're seeing. I don't know. I don't know
what's the argument of why it's happening. I can't even remember what I'd say on this podcast at the time. But it felt like, to me, it was really good sort of counter programming to the comic book movie craze, where it's essentially like an old school action film from like the mid 90s. That's the only thing that sticks out to me. And I think there was a lot of pent up nostalgia for those movies. Ironically, I guess, I don't know. People love it. So,
and I think you've made a good point where it's like January release for this kind of like reboot of a once beloved franchise. It's a low risk, high reward for putting it in January, right?
Yeah.
It's like you throw it out in January. Oh, that didn't work. No big deal. We've got the whole year to work things out. Yeah. But like Sony, I mean, the execs at Sony just are probably doing circle jerks left and right.
Oh, they love it.
This.
They love it. It's such a gamble and win for them. A recovery from the post hack era. Okay, so Bad Boys for Life doing great, 166. 1917, an amazing 5% drop this weekend.
My God,
$9 million. It's legged it out already to 132. Who knows what's going to happen if it wins Best Picture tonight? Have you seen 1917 yet?
I'm actually got tickets to see it later today.
Oh my God. I can't wait to hear what you think of it.
I hope I don't fall asleep and then wake up to some dumb explosions.
Oh, I mean, that's exactly what's going to happen.
It's exactly what's going to happen.
I kind of feel like it's the little movie that could, even though I shouldn't sort of view it that way. But going like a month ago, 2 months ago, no one was talking about this movie.
I know, right?
Like it was just sort of like, oh, they're putting it out right before the Oscars. Come on, ridiculous. It wasn't even released wide when it won the Best Picture Golden Globe drama. So it was kind of an old school approach. I mean, we'll talk about this in a bit, but it has a really good chance of winning tonight. But I will say this, 132 for a movie like this is pretty darn good, but it doesn't kind of blow me away, pun intended, for like, this type of movie, a huge World War I movie. I don't know. It just sort of seems like we should have expected it to do this well, but now we're kind of surprised because it was so quiet. I don't know.
Well, it was also kind of a surprise when Midway did decent, right? Mm-hmm. Back in November.
Absolutely, yeah.
And everybody's already forgotten that movie.
Yeah, what? I mean, Midway.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
But I think it once again is like a lot of these successes for non-Disney studios, especially like the major non-Disney studios, is like they're drowning, right? And they're trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And Universal said, okay, sure, Sam Mendes, like do a one-shot World War movie. Yeah, exactly. Like they're like, okay, that sounds like gimmicky enough that maybe we'll break even. And now they're gonna go home with an Oscar, probably multiple Oscars tonight. That's crazy.
This idea came up at like a lunch in like Malibu or something, and they just like they wrote it down on a Post-it note. World War I, Sam Mendes, Roger Deakins, green light. Yeah, let's go.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's number 3. Fantastic performance for 1917 so far. Number 4, Doolittle. Ooh, 12% drop though. 6.6 million. Right? It's made $63 million so far.
Yeah, this was just a bad week at the bad weekend at the box office overall, right?
Yeah,
it was. I saw something on NPR. I've got the link up here where it was. Usually there's an Oscar bounce for the box office on Oscar weekend. And this is like the first year since before Slumdog Millionaire where there wasn't a bounce.
Yeah, it's just kind of muted across the board. And Birds of Prey is certainly not helping. Has anybody seen Doolittle? Anybody you know has seen Doolittle?
No, not even like my students. I teach high school, and like even the ones that have like younger siblings, we talk about it in film studies. We talk about the new movies coming out, and all of them are like, "What? This is a remake?" I'm so confused. Like they only know it because RDJ's in the lead role.
Oh yeah, okay, totally, yeah. It's a disaster. Everybody kind of knew it was going to be a disaster. We kind of talked about this the last couple of weeks, like how it was produced and it was greenlit for like $175 million. And it's one of those sort of tales of a major studio just greenlighting something because a star is attached and a director is attached, and then maybe don't think about what the end product's actually going to look like. If you don't think about it, you end up with Doolittle essentially. Yep. Awful. Number 5, kind of the opposite. Jumanji Next Level dropped 8%, 5.5 million. Sits at basically $300 million domestically. You are around younger people in general. It's a younger people movie. Do you have any insight as to why the legs on this Jumanji and last Jumanji are so good? Like,
I was honestly so surprised. We just started a new semester of film studies, and we always talk about our favorite our favorite movies, and I have them like fill out a little chart where they like put down like their favorite action movies, favorite fantasy movies, and like everybody had Jumanji on some category. I think it's one of those movies. Yeah.
That makes no sense. Now, how old are these people? How old are these students?
Like between 15 and 17.
Okay. So normal high school student.
Yeah. But they just, I think it's one of those movies kind of like from the days of yore, the 90s. Like, it's a classic blockbuster that's got action, fantasy, comedy. It's got everything.
What would be the equivalent to us when we were growing up? We were in the high school in the late 90s. Like The Mummy?
Right. Yeah, like perfect. That's great because it's also not good, but it's enjoyable, right?
Yeah, it's like the high adventure movie.
Exactly. It's basically the Indiana Jones of the 2010s, as messed up as that is.
That's just so bizarre. I just can't believe this thing opened 9 weeks ago, and it's still just crushing the top 5.
I know.
And the same
Can
thing
I mention,
happened.
by the way, that we have 3 movies in the top 10 this week that have single-digit drops?
That's nuts. It's so bizarre.
What is going on?
So Jumanji Next Level crushing as usual. The Gentleman SDX in 6, 4.1 million, 25% drop, which is also low. Sits at $27 million so far. I guess this is like the Guy Ritchie hangover movie from his Aladdin thing. I have zero interest in seeing this. Like, I don't know who wants to see this. Like people who like Snatch, I guess.
Right. I love that that's what it says too in like the trailers, like from the director of Aladdin and Snatch. That's insane.
It's so bizarre.
That's insane.
It's really quick though. Quick turnaround for him. I don't know when he shot this. Didn't Aladdin come out last year? Am I thinking about this right? Yeah, so it was like must have been a really quick shoot last fall or something like that to get this thing out the door. But I would say decent performance. It didn't really break out all that much, but it certainly didn't flop either. So and it's SDX. They're like a mid-major, so this is a decent performance for them. Number 7 from United Artists, Gretel and Hansel. 43% drop in its second weekend. Total so far 11.5 million. I don't know. I don't know about this movie. It looks, I mean, as someone who isn't kind of an art horror nerd, it looks amazing. But from, a sort of this podcast perspective, the box office, I was like, why would you even put this out?
Right. Like put it out wide. I don't know.
Exactly. Like, who's the audience? Like, I could see a New York, Los Angeles, A24 type thing going on. But I mean, you seem like you would want to see this movie, wouldn't you?
Yeah, totally. I want to see it, but I also don't really want to go see it opening weekend. Like, I'll see it eventually.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, the hook that it has to it, other than like the beautiful cinematography and like the art horror vibes, is that it's from this classic fairy tale. Yeah. So it's like, it's a very weird like binary they're gambling on here, and I don't know why anybody at United Artists thought 3,000 screens, do it up. Like, what?
Let's just push it out wide. I mean, A24 has done that a couple of times with like The Witch and It Comes at Night. Sometimes it works, like with Hereditary, they did that. I was like super critical of that, but it made $40 million, so whatever. Gretel and Hansel is not going to make $40 million. No. So kind of a pretty big disappointment for that movie, but not really all that surprising flop. Number 8, Knives Out from Lionsgate, 2.3 million, 9% drop, $158 million so far. This is just like, and they just greenlit a sequel with Daniel Craig this weekend. Or sorry,
possible franchise.
Yeah, possible franchise, which is, it seems a little bit premature to me. Like, this movie is good, and it was very enjoyable, and it was well done, and Rian Johnson did a great job directing, and Daniel Craig was awesome. But do you see it as like a franchise situation?
I wasn't sold on it as a franchise at all until somebody pointed out, like, hello, this is just our version of Agatha Christie and Hercule Poirot, which is just like, that's what it was. It's the purpose of it is to like bring this amazing detective character and have him plow through murder mysteries one at a time. And if Daniel Craig and Rian Johnson want to do that, I'm not going to stop them. I'm going to see every one of them. Yeah,
I kind of would see every one of them too, just because it looks like a lot of fun, and it's kind of a very low stakes type movie. Right. And it just works, it's very entertaining, and it's zippy, and it just, I don't know. I think it could be a long-term thing going on there, and they all should be successful as long as they're well written, which Knives Out was. So great performance from Knives Out, crushing at 160 domestic. Number 9, Little Women. I haven't seen this one yet. 2.3 up for Best Picture. Minus 24% this weekend, kind of higher than the other ones. $102 million. Have you seen Little Women yet?
Yeah, I like it a lot. It's great. It's just narrowly in my top 10 of the year personally.
Interesting. And $100 million. I mean, my God.
I know. No, I don't think. I think even like the biggest Greta Gerwig stands were probably not anticipating such a wide net for a movie like this, and it's good. Like, I mean, I think that Sony probably realized at some point, and maybe Greta Gerwig herself was, the persuasive one that got them to realize this, that it's an old clothes movie and it's got a niche audience in that respect, but it's like the old clothes story, right? It's like this and Pride and Prejudice are the two old clothes movies that are always going to make money.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, think about it, like 94, that's a perfect time to cash in. Like 25 years later, bam, do it. They're going to do it again in 25 and they'll make more money then too. If the box office still exists.
Yeah, exactly. If there still is a box office. I was just watching an interview with Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, and it's just like, oh man, it's going to be trouble for the theaters. They're going to start buying theaters. It's going to get bad. And we may not have wonderful movies like Little Women anymore. $102 million. I think that it topped out in my projections as breaking out around 60 to 70. So it's like a pretty amazing performance for a film like that. Okay, so number 10 was Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, 2.2 million. How is this still making money? I guess it is Star Wars. 510 million domestic. I haven't seen this yet, at least in a traditional format, so to speak. I don't know. I mean, it's not great, right? It's not a good performance. Did you see this one?
No, I actually had tickets opening night, but I got the flu and I had to bail. Had to bail, and now I've just been reading Twitter since, and I don't really have any desire to.
Twitter ruins everything.
It really does.
It really ruins everything. Even a good movie, film Twitter will take it, put it in a blender, and just ruin the whole thing. That's a good transition over to Oscar talk. So let's sort of take a look. Let's just drive through the big categories and kind of see.
Yeah, let's see the big 8.
Yeah. So, what do you want to do first? You want to do big picture? You want to best picture first? You want to do directing? It's Chris's choice. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start at the bottom. Let's start with the screenplays.
Okay.
I think that, we just mentioned Knives Out. That's probably one of the ones that I'm really excited had a nomination, but there's no way it's going to win.
Yeah.
I do think it's probably one of the best screenplays of the year, personally. I don't think
that's a bold statement.
I think it's great. I think that it does exactly what you'd want a screenplay to do, which is to both say something and never have a wasted word on the page. So
a very strong technical screenplay in terms of just tightness. Noah Baumbach did win for Marriage Story last night at the Spirit Awards. So maybe a harbinger of tonight. Probably not.
No, I think that it's going to be Quentin, honestly. I think
really
that which is frustrating for me because you like this movie a lot. I don't.
Love it. I mean, I fucking love it.
But even if I can understand, I'm starting to understand anyways why people do, but I do not think this is one of his most well-written stories. Maybe one of his most well-shot stories, but there's not much on the page here, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that. I mean, it's a pretty dialogue-heavy movie. I think there's a lot that he sculpted on the page, but at the same time, a lot of it is a kind of hangout movie. And how many scenes are there of them just driving through Los Angeles for like 5-6 minutes? So yeah, I could see that. Right now, I was like looking at the betting odds. It looks like Parasite is the favorite right now, at least with the money people. I don't know. It's a possibility that it wins. I think it might. What's your pick, though? You think?
I still think Quentin's going to eke it out. I think the Academy wants to reward people that write about Hollywood, and he's already won it 3 times before, so why not another time?
Yeah, I could totally see that without a doubt. What about adapted screenplay?
Adapted is a little less obvious, I think, though I think it's pretty clear that I don't know. I want to say Greta's going to get it for Little Women, but maybe the Academy will give in to the Joker. I don't know. Yeah, that'd be my other guess.
Oh, that'd be terrible. If Joker wins anything, I'm going to be upset. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I mean, it's going to win actor. So what I was going to say is they're going to throw Joker a bone, but maybe hopefully the only bone they'll throw it is Joaquin.
The odds right now are saying Jojo Rabbit for adapted screenplay, which is a little bit surprising. Really? Yeah, it goes Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Irishman. I feel like Jojo Rabbit was, I think, really. I saw it on the plane, which is not the ideal place to see a movie, but I was blown away.
You liked this movie more than I did. I hate it.
I loved it. I mean, I loved it. So that would be my pick, but I don't know. I could see any of them winning, to be honest with you, except for Two Popes. No one's seen that movie. No one has any idea what it is.
Yeah, it's like
just for old people over 60s. Right. All right, what next category you want to think?
Let's do supporting actress, and then actor.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, that's why I want to start with something more interesting than the acting categories, because I think all 4 of these are locks, right? It's going to be Laura Dern tonight.
Yeah, the odds are insane. The odds for the acting categories, all of them are just nuts. Like, if you bet like $1 on like Joaquin Phoenix, you get like 5 cents. You'll win.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will this be Netflix's first major category win?
God, I don't know. It might be. They've been so anti-Netflix over the last couple of years.
I guess you would. No,
wasn't
there supporting?
Yeah, best director, and then I think didn't they also win Roma supporting actress?
Yeah, she won best supporting actress, didn't she?
Okay, that's yeah.
So or wait, no, was she just nominated?
I don't remember. I don't know. To be honest with you, I thought she won. She might have won. But yeah, Lauren Dern's a lock for this. Like, there's like Margot Robbie maybe, but nobody saw Bombshell. This is where you get it back to the box office stuff. It did not pop off at all. Nobody saw this movie. And it seemed like I thought it was a surefire hit. I was thinking like $60, $80 million domestically. And I don't even know what it's at now, like 30 something maybe, if that. It's at 31.
I guess Jay Roach just isn't as bankable as Peter Farrelly. God.
That's awful. Take that back.
The execs are thinking.
Take that back. Yeah, Lauren Dern's a lock for this. And then I think Brad Pitt for actor. Obviously, although I kind of want to see. I mean, your honest opinion. Do you think who do you think's the best here in your honest opinion of the actors?
So supporting actress, real quick. I do wish that Florence Pugh would win. I think she's awesome.
She thought she was. I haven't seen it yet, so I heard she's phenomenal in it.
Yeah, she is, and I also probably have some residual love because she's in my favorite movie of the year.
Oh, good.
But we won't get into that.
I feel like we should do a whole podcast on Midsummer, but we're not going to. Your favorite is Florence. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. What about actor?
For actor, I like both Pacino and Pesci. I would be absolutely ecstatic if either one of them did an upset, but there's no way. No.
I kind of want Pesci. I thought he was just so wonderful in Irishman. But Brad Pitt is pretty much a lock. It's almost like a career achievement award for him at this point, I feel like.
Yeah, it really is. And it's I don't know. Whatever. I won't get into it.
So let's go into actress and actor. What do you think for actress? Yep. Obviously, like Zellweger, right?
Yep, it's gonna be Renee.
Again, nobody's seen that movie. It did not perform all that well at the box office, but for some reason, she's been a locked-in favorite for 3 months at least.
Right. It's just written in the stars. Judy grossed $24 million domestic.
Ridiculous. That's nothing. I mean, it's like as
less
much
than
as
Bombshell.
Midnight made. I know. ScarJo in Marriage Story, I thought she was great. I actually thought she was much better in Jojo Rabbit, but that's just me.
Agreed.
Charlize Theron, Saoirse Ronan, Cynthia. How do you say her last name?
Erivo, I think.
Erivo, yeah. I thought she was going to be higher up in this because I heard nothing but amazing things about her work in Harriet, but Zellweger.
And here's the weird thing, and I mean, I hate to do it, but I think I got to play the race card. Harriet and Judy seem to be on similar quality movie levels.
Absolutely.
Nobody they're basically the same thing. They're a female biopic, but for whatever reason, even though Harriet made more money at the box office,
much more money,
seems to be liked more by audiences because Judy Renee's the bigger name, and Judy, once again, it's Hollywood about Hollywood. So it's going to go to Renee.
Very incestuous. Actor, God, I don't want to talk about Joker, but we have to. I think, and I'll say this about the Joker performance: it was fine, but everything around it was I thought, disgusting and just awful. That there's no way I would even nominate him for this. I just no. I thought Adam Driver was amazing in Marriage Story.
Yep.
I thought Leo was awesome in Once Upon a Time, although I probably wouldn't nominate him. I think Antonio Banderas was probably the one I thought was going to win, but then Joaquin kind of took over everything. What do you think?
Yeah, like I really want to see Pain and Glory, because every clip I'm seeing of Antonio is like he's killing it in that, but it just like Adam Driver, it's pretty understated. Like even Marriage Story is like pretty bombastic for a Noah Baumbach movie, but still like the way like this is what we're doing. People have said it over and over again. Most acting is often misconstrued for the best acting.
Exactly. Yeah. That's like why Leo won for The Revenant. I mean, basically like wrestled with a bear, and everybody was like, "Oh, he's cold. Let's give him an Oscar." Okay, so like the actress definitely seems like they're totally locked. According to the odds, they are. A little bit less sort of set in stone, I think, is director, right?
Mm-hmm. That might be the one upset of the evening.
Yeah, I think right now the favorite looks like Sam Mendes for 1917. Bong Joon-ho for Parasites in a close second in terms of the odds, and then Quentin Tarantino's a distant third. Right. Then you have Scorsese and Todd Phillips sort of in the back. What do you think here? Do you think 1917, the trad win happens?
Yeah, I think we're due for a trad boring Oscars. I think that we're still kind of coming down from the high of Moonlight and last year's Green Book. I mean, you had a good upset and a bad upset, so we have to just have a boring one this year. I would love if the logic prevailed that Bong Joon-ho would get it for Parasite, Cuarón got it for Roma last year, even though Roma didn't get Best Picture. But I just don't think there's enough other corollaries. Like Bong Joon-ho, he's only being recognized for the first time, whereas Cuarón had been recognized for like the third time. Yeah. And also there's no acting nominations for Parasite, so I think it's pretty symbolic that it's just getting like the director and Best Picture noms.
Yeah, I feel like it might be a makeup award for that film. I feel like there's an outside chance Tarantino pulls it out here. I thought like 2 months ago Scorsese would have won it easily. Like I just feel like that was the moment Irishman hit. It was like, oh, this is gonna win everything, obviously. And the fact that Todd Phillips is in last in the odds makes me so happy. Just because I feel like he's the major reason why that film is so successful, but also terrible at the same time. Yeah. I've never seen a worse misreading of society in my entire life.
Can I just say that the moment that the character of Joker says the phrase mental illness in like the first act, that was when I knew that like there's no way I was going to enjoy this movie. Like it's, oh my God, I cannot believe that script is nominated. It's so bad.
Yeah. And I think what surprised me the most too is like, it's just the number of nominations was flooring to me.
I know.
Like 11 noms, leading the pack. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I mean, keep in mind though, the nominations for each category are by directors, by an actor for Best Actor, but writer for that. So there's something within the actual fields themselves they thought it really stood out. Okay, so that Best Director looks like probably 1917. And then Best Picture, the big one. What do we think? It's Parasite 1917, right? And Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time, I think this is another chance for an upset. If Mendes gets director and they want to do something interesting, then Once Upon will get Best Picture. Yeah. But then we would never hear the end of it from Quentin, and it would just fit. It would also just fit into the stereotype of Hollywood, celebrating Hollywood, like The Artist. Remember The Artist?
I saw it in theaters. I loved the movie. Too. I thought the movie was great.
Really? I fell asleep quite a bit.
I thought it was good. I thought it was very emotional in the right ways. What would happen if Ford versus Ferrari won?
Well, how did this even get here? I don't even know.
I think they accidentally left it on the forum or something. Like it doesn't make any sense. I mean, like it's totally an Oscar bait film.
Right.
I watched it and I was like, oh, this is like everything about this was like written by AI. That like looked at the last 100 Oscar movie wins, and I was like, "This is so trash." And like, it's not a bad movie, but it's just so pandering. It's disgusting. Yeah. Okay, so you're thinking, I'm thinking, my gut says that Parasite's gonna pull out.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope you're right, man.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna happen.
Happy. Wow.
Okay.
Incredible.
Okay, so that is Best Picture. That's awards chatter, the final one of the year, probably. You want to do Time Machine?
Yeah, let's just run through a quick Time Machine lightning round.
Yeah, let's do it.
I wanted to take another look back in at 2010 because we talked about it about a month and a half ago or so, and I was talking about Avatar, and so we're going to talk about Avatar again.
You're killing me.
Yes. What the heck? This is okay. So the 8th week of release, Avatar is number 2 at the box office with $22 million. 26% drop, lost 74 theaters, still at an even 3,000, and it had made $629 million at this point.
Just disgusting.
Weekend 6 of 2010. But guess what movie beat it on this weekend?
2010? Oh, I don't know.
Any guesses?
No, I can't even venture to guess.
Dear John, the Nicholas Sparks film.
Oh yeah, Dear John with what's her name and what's his name?
Exactly, Amanda Seyfried and Channing Tatum.
I remember the trailer for this. I was kind of stoked for it.
Gosh, guess who directed this movie?
Dear John, I don't know. Greg Kinnear or something?
Great guess. Lasse Hallström from Cider House Rules fame.
Nice. All right.
And What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Oh my gosh, this is so strange that. I mean, we get it, right? Like The Notebook was a huge success in the 2000s, but like still at this point in 2010, nobody remembers any other Nicholas Sparks movies. I believe. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
I wanted to talk about this movie because guess what? What's the subplot of the romance here? Is that the twist at the end is that Channing Tatum is a ghost and he died at 9/11.
What? This sounds awesome.
I know. I want to see it now, actually.
Isn't that so? That's like the plot of like basically every romantic film of the last decade has the same ghost plot, doesn't it?
Right. Like we just had that with Last Christmas.
Last Christmas. Wasn't there like P.S. I Love You, Gerard Butler movie? Mm-hmm. That's such a weird plot device. Ghost Story, right? Even the art indie people are into it.
Yeah.
I don't get the whole ghost thing, man. I don't get it.
Yeah. So that movie went on to make how much? $30 million. So it made it all. It made it all in its opening weekend and quickly sank to the bottom. Yeah. So there must have been some great PR push, though, if it got number 1.
I do remember the PR push for that movie actually quite well, and it was very well done. Good trailer. Really good trailer.
And then number 3 that weekend was also another movie I don't remember at all, except when I looked at the movie poster and saw a bald and goateed John Travolta from Paris with Love.
I don't even know what that is. Oh, is it like an action movie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sort of.
Second build is an actor I haven't heard of in years, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Wait, who's that?
Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, you'd recognize him, but he's probably most known for Velvet Goldmine and Bound It Like Beckham, Match Point.
Oh, yeah, I love that guy. That guy's awesome. Match
But you didn't remember his name.
Yeah, he's got really full lips. That's what I remember.
Yep, big lips.
Yeah.
This is a Pierre Morel movie who did District 13 and Taken.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
And this is like, from what I recall, it's basically like a throwaway action genre flick.
Right.
Like your typical January release, like your Cold Pursuit last year.
Exactly. French produced, American actors and English language, but yeah, it looks like a piece of trash. But it had a budget of $52 million and it made exactly $52 million. So
there you go.
Probably still lost money with P&A, but whatever.
Yeah, you don't see those movies doing even remotely well anymore. Any of those. Nope. Like the Dear John, that movie, Avatar, obviously it's its own genre, but whatever. Oh well, 2010, 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh, absolutely crazy. No, but the only action movies that do well are Bad Boys for Life, I guess, and the only romance movies, no, none of those do well, right?
No, nothing. I mean, it's pretty much romantic comedies and such is basically a collapse over the last decade,
right?
And it's all gone to like Netflix and streaming. So, who knows?
Okay.
Any future movies for us, or just looking?
Let's take a quick look. I got 3 movies for you that I am interested in. The first one is The Thicket, finalized its cast and starting production soon, with Noomi Rapace from Prometheus and Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones, as well as Sophia Lillis, who plays the younger version of Jessica Chastain's character in the It movies. Here's the logline for this one. The story follows an innocent young man named Jack who goes on an epic quest to rescue his sister after she is kidnapped by violent killer, quote, Cutthroat Bill and her gang. Jack enlists the help of a crafty bounty hunter named Reginald Jones, played by Peter Dinklage, a grave-digging alcoholic son of an ex-slave and a street-smart prostitute. What is going on here?
Wow, that sounds interesting. Wait, is this a period piece?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, wait a second.
So it sounds pretty batshit, but it does seem like it's trying to be perhaps a platform release. For which studio here? EFM, ICM Partners.
I don't know them. Entertainment. Interesting. It definitely seems like it also could be like one of those movies that has like famous people in it, made by a smaller studio and like never really sees the light of day. Right. There's multiples of those that come out or try to come out every year. That they just disappear for whatever reason. They don't have like the funding or the distribution arm to really get it out there. It seems like it could be one of those.
Right. Just a weird thriller. I also feel like it's kind of still a holdover from the post Tarantino phase of the late 90s, right? Just like have some killing going on and have an interesting ensemble cast. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, love it.
But it sounds fun. Another movie that does not sound fun, but we probably should talk about because the cameras are rolling this upcoming Thursday, Sony's version of Cinderella, starring Camila Cabello. Yikes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah.
Right. Minnie Driver and Missy Elliott round out the cast with, of course, James Corden. Is that his name? I hate this guy.
Gordon?
From The Late Late Show.
Yeah, it's Corden? I don't know.
Yeah, James Corden. I don't know. He's the worst.
He's in the Cats, so it is what it is.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think that it's from Sony though, right?
Right. So they're banking on the public domain Cinderella and maybe some elements of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. I don't know.
Oh, this sounds like a disaster.
Oh yeah.
Does it have a release date? Do you know?
Not yet.
It seems like they'd probably push it November, October, I would say.
Right.
Oh, that's gonna be brutal. I mean, how do you think they can compete when Disney just put out Cinderella? What was that? 5 years ago? 4 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. Maybe I don't know. Not a good prognosis for that movie. I don't.
No, I think Sony's pretty dumb for spending so much on this, but it'll at least be a fun train wreck to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
And last but not least, try to save the best for last. Did you know that there's going to be a Monster Mash movie from Universal Pictures?
Nice. No, I did not.
A musical creature feature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you have me still a little bit.
So there's no log line yet, but it does.
Who needs a log line?
No, it's Monster Mash, right? Like they're gonna have a graveyard bash. It's gonna be interesting.
Wait, so it's a movie built around a song, huh?
Yeah. The director is Matt Stosky. This will be his debut, but he is a Grammy-nominated music video director.
Okay.
And he also did I guess there was the Soderbergh movie Side Effects.
Yes.
I guess there was a pilot for a TV show, and he did that.
Oh, wow. What an illustrious career here.
Right. And Will Widger is writing the script, and I actually know this guy not from movies, but from comic books. He did the comic books Lumberjanes, which is an awesome book. And so I think it might actually be kind of a fun, silly, family-friendly attempt.
Yeah. It could cut both ways there. It's sort of like, as long as there's an actual story and like something actually happens, and it's not just like a cash grab, then like, it could do well. Anything can do well as long as you market it, right?
Exactly. It's all the marketing.
You have a decent sort of actual product. But I find that like any attempt to like, it's obviously an IP grab, right? It's like, everybody knows this song, blah, blah, blah. But like, people, I found like audiences are a lot more discerning now, that it's sort of like, unless there is like that spectacle and an amazing sort of hook and grab to a story, then people aren't going to show up, right? I don't think so.
Right.
They're not going to show up because they like the song Monster Mash. Right?
I mean, I will. And my sons will. Yeah.
So I'm assuming, did they ever release it on that? I'm assuming October or September.
Yeah, there's no release date yet. It's probably going to be a 2021. This hasn't even started filming. There's no cast yet.
So it just started.
Greenlit.
Love it. Awesome. Time Machine.
Thank you.
It's great to have you on.
You with it. Yeah. Should we talk about what's coming up in the next couple weeks?
Yeah. Let's see. I gotta pull up my my trusty chart here. It's gonna be insane, just because I don't know when February 14th became like the biggest day ever for movies. We have Downhill, Searchlight Pictures. This is the remake. What was the original called? Do you remember it? It's
Force Majeure, which actually is a fantastic movie. So I don't know how this is going to go.
I heard it wasn't great at Sundance. So this is Will Ferrell and who else?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
probably
not going to do very well.
I like that pairing a lot.
Wonderful pairing. There wasn't the sort of pop off hype at all on this one. Nope. So it's Searchlight Pictures, formerly Fox Searchlight Pictures, which they removed the Fox last week, I think, 2 weeks ago. Yep. Not going to do well. Fantasy Island from Sony Pictures. I'm on board. With this.
I don't know, man. I don't know. What looks interesting other than the Blumhouse?
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Just the Blumhouse.
That's all you need.
I realize that like they'll let the director do whatever they want. It's going to be a complete shit show. Why did the original Fantasy Island TV show have any sort of horror element to it?
I don't think so. I feel like
I thought it was just like
almost like they're mashing up Fantasy Island with Island of Dr. Moreau, or maybe they bought the rights to Fantasy Island, but they were thinking Island of Dr. Moreau the whole time. I don't know.
And then there's like hostile type scenes in it, where they're torturing people. I don't know. I'm kind of on board with it though, because it looks totally ridiculous. Is it going to do well? Downhill's not going to do well. Fantasy Island, I think, has a chance to pop off. I would say like 15 to 20 maybe. It's going to be a super tough weekend. The Photograph. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying Fantasy Island. I just wanted to check the budget because the budgets are always interesting for these Blumhouse movies. Only $7 million.
Oh,
$7 million.
Exactly.
It'll make its money back.
Yeah, exactly. It could totally flop and still make a profit. Right. Photograph, I don't know much about. This is a romantic film, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah. Is Universal. This Lakeith Stanfield?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Who's amazing. I don't know. Romantic film on Valentine's Day. Does it work? Does it not?
Is it too on the nose? I don't know.
I don't think it's going to make like more than $12 million. It's just so packed. Nothing's really going to break out here besides Sonic the Hedgehog. And that, to me, almost upsets me. I was upset because I was like, I went back for Christmas back to Wisconsin. My nephew, who's 5, is like obsessed with Sonic.
That's so weird.
And I was like, wait, how? Like, how would you even know who Sonic was? Like, Sonic was when we were kids in like the 90s.
Right.
What about you two? Are they into Sonic? Are they looking forward for this one?
Like, they know, the only reason they know the character is because I have a Sonic the Hedgehog hat from when I was little.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, like, that's the only reference point they have. But, you know, it's James Marsden with an animated animal, so that we'll go see it. Yeah,
James Marsden, I feel so bad for him.
Oh, I know.
He's such a good, solid Rick Dalton type actor.
Right, that's a good. He is the Rick Dalton of our generation.
And like he just doesn't. I don't know. He was in The Box. How many cinema F scores has he been in? Sonic the Hedgehog. I do hear it's actually not that bad though. The movie.
Really?
So I hear it's actually okay. I hear Jim Carrey's really great as the villain.
Yeah.
Tracking on this, I think, is like 45. So
I don't know, man. Maybe.
If you told me this like a year ago, I'd be like, oh, maybe it opens to like 18. Like, who's going to see this? But like, for some reason, there's a groundswell behind this movie. I don't get it. But I think it's easily going to win the weekend. I think it's probably going to go Sonic, Fantasy Island, Photograph, Downhill. And then there's another one called What About Love, which I have no idea what that is. You ever heard that one?
I don't even have that one on the website.
XL141. I don't even know. Two people somewhat wary of love spend a summer together in Europe making a film about people's attitude towards love.
Yikes.
What? Tanner and Christian realize that they're actually filming their own love story, but they have no idea that their film will ultimately save Christian's life after tragedy strikes them both. Of all the films that we have talked about, I want to see this one the most.
That sounds insane. Sharon Stone is in it?
I don't know, man. This is amazing.
Screenplay by Klaus Menzel, directed by Klaus Menzel. Who is this maniac?
4 different production countries: Italy, Romania, Spain, and the United States.
My God.
If you're going to go out to the movies next weekend, do see that. I will also note one thing before we close out the show. Opening in limited release is my favorite film of 2019, Portrait of a Lady on Fire from Neon. Yeah. So if you have a chance to see it on February 14th with your close loved one, please do. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Please. I will definitely be seeing that.
It's so good. All right, that's all we got.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and we will be back next weekend. Thanks.